to the MUW Department of Music. As a courtesy to others, please silence all cell phones and other electronic devices and refrain from using flash photography. We would like to remind you that you can find out more about events such as these by visiting our website at www.muw.edu/music. Thank you, and please enjoy the performance.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to tonight's opera workshop scenes. I'm Dr. Susan Hurley, Associate Professor of Voice at the W and the Director of MUW's Opera Workshop. Tonight's performance features 7 scenes from opera or musical theater. Now, much of tonight's music comes from Broadway musicals. The musical, as an art form, is a uniquely American contribution to world theater. It has roots in everything from vaudeville to operetta to Follies shows. And musicals have evolved in just over a century to a multi-million-dollar industry. Early musicals of the 1920s and 30s were the domain of creative giants like Cole Porter and Gershwin's and Irving Berlin. Later, storyline-based big book musicals, such as those by the composer lyricist team Rodgers and Hammerstein, would dominate Broadway in the 1940s, 50s, and beyond. Later still, Broadway would see even more variety of dramatic and musical styles, including rock musicals of the 1970s and the contemporary hip-hop infused shows of Lynn and Miranda. Our first performances this evening come from Meredith Willson's 1957 hit Broadway musical, The Music Man. This show is set in 1912 Iowa with a story about a lovable con man who poses as a traveling salesman, selling band uniforms and instruments to children. He wanders from town to town, and his tactic is he distracts all the local music teachers who would be qualified to recognize him as a fraud by seducing them so that they're no longer inclined to call him out on his deceptions. Then he moves on to the next town. Well, eventually he gets off the train in River City, Iowa, where he'll finally get his foot caught in the door. Because in River City, he'll meet his true love, Marian. He'll settle down, and, well, we presume he then will learn to become a band director for real. Meanwhile, the prim librarian and music teacher, Marian Paroo, is already in her mid-20s and still unmarried, which in 1912 was a big deal. And she has a romantic side. Marian lives with her recently widowed mother and her little brother, Winter. In the evenings, after working at the library all day, Marian offers piano lessons to the community children out of their modest home. When Harold Hill steps off the train in River City, he needs to accomplish 2 things. First, he needs to identify the local music teacher, and that will be Marian, so that he can sweep her off her feet and prevent her from revealing that he's a fraud who knows nothing about music. And number 2, he must identify a serious problem in the community. So, when he proposes founding a boys' band, citizens will buy instruments and uniforms and spend their money without hesitation out of a desire to preserve the morality of River City's youth. Marian notices a stranger following her around town one evening, and while getting ready to teach a piano lesson, she mentions this fact to her mother. While Mrs. Paroo sees the stranger as a possible love interest for Marian, who disagrees, and an argument ensues.
Now play your exercise, Willis.
Well, excuse me for living, but I never read it. Neither has anyone else in this town. There you go again with that same old comment about the low mentality of River City people and taking it all too much to heart.
But Mama, as long as the Madison Public Library was entrusted to me for the purpose of improving River City's cultural level, I can't help my concern that the ladies of River City keep ignoring all my counsel and advice.
But, darling, when a woman's got a husband and you've got none, why should she take advice from you? If you can't quote Balzac and Shakespeare and all them other high-falutin brilliants.
Mama, if you don't, Mama, say it so you have a bad habit about changing every sentence.
Haven't changed a sentence, talking to that strange straight with the Sunnies who may be your very last chance.
Mama, do you think that you'll allow common fashion now? Really, Mama, I have my standards where men are concerned, and I have no intention.
I know all about your standards. If you don't mind my saying so, there's not a man alive who would hope to measure up to that blend of Paul Bunyan, St. Martin, or Webster. You can quote it for yourself. I mean, Irish imagination, your Iowa stubborn, and your library books.
After the argument, Marian's little brother, Winthrop, comes home. Amarylis, the young piano student, invites him to a party, but he declines and runs away to his room. Amarylis is sweet on Winthrop, and so she's frustrated that he won't talk to her. Mournfully, she confesses her feelings to Marian, who tries to console her by saying Amarylis has plenty of time to meet other boys. In an emotional outburst, Amarylis complains that she will never, ever find love in anyone else. She tells Marian that she wishes Winthrop sweet dreams every night on the evening star. How could she wish her sweetheart a good night on the evening star if she doesn't know his name? Marian, who hasn't met her own special someone yet, recommends wishing good night, my son. isn't in any kind of trouble. So if people are going to want his fictional boys band enough to spend their money on it, he has to create the trouble himself. After some asking around, he learns that the only thing new in town is the mayor's new pool table. River City has never had a pool before, only billiards. Hill determines this is good enough to use as fuel to manufacture some moral outrage, stir up the citizens, and create a moral demand for a boys' band. He strolls to the town square during a busy hour and approaches the greengrocer, pretending to be a concerned fellow citizen. Speaking loudly so that passers-by will overhear and gather around, he establishes commonality with listeners, saying, "Well, sure, I'm a billiard player," and he extols the virtues of billiards. Then he claims that pool is a different game altogether and a very slippery slope. While the townfolk gather to listen, he describes the terrible moral degradation that will ensue from the presence of a pool table in River City.
You're Mr. Dunlap. Either you're closing your eyes to a situation that you don't wish to acknowledge, or you're not aware of the caliber of disaster indicated by the presence of a pool table in your community. Well, you've got trouble, my friend. Right here, I say trouble right here in River City. Why, sure, I'm a billiard player, certainly mighty proud to say it. Always mighty proud to say it. I consider that the hours I spend with the cue in my hand are golden. Helps you cultivate horse sense, and a cool head, and a keen eye. Try and give an ironclad lead to yourself from a 3-rail billiard shot? But just as I say, it takes judgment, brains, and maturity to score in a ball-climb game. I say that any move can take and shove a ball in a pocket, and I call that slump. The first big step on the road to the depths of degradation. I say first it's a little of medicinal wine from a teaspoon, then beer from a bottle, and the next thing you know, your son is playing for money in a pinchback suit, and listening to some big out-of-town Jasper hear you talk about horse race gambling. Not a wholesome trotting race, no, but a race where they sat down right on the horse. I'd like to see some stuck-up jockey boys setting a damn cash, making your blood boil, well, I should say. Now, friends, let me tell you what I mean. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jockeys at a table. Pockets that mark the difference between a gentleman and a bum, with a capital B and that rhymes with a P, and that stands for poor. And all week long, your River City youth will be frittering away. I say, your young men will be frittering away there, noontime, summertime, short time too. Get the ball in the pocket, never mind getting dandelions pulled or the screen door patch with a beefsteak down it. Never mind pumping any water till your parents are caught with the cistern empty on Saturday night. That's trouble. Oh yes, you got lots and lots of trouble. I'm thinking of the kids in the knickerbocker shirt tails, young ones peeking in the pool hall window after school. You got trouble, folks, right here in River City. Trouble with a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. Now I know all you folks are the right kind of parents. I'm gonna be perfectly frank. Would you like to know what kind of conversation goes on while they're loafing around the hall? They'll be trying out Bevo, trying out Q-Bets, trying out sailor names like cigarette beans, and bragging all about how they're gonna cover up the telltale breath with Simpson one fine night. They leave the pool hall headed for the dance at the Armory, libertine men, scarlet women, and ragtime. Shameless music that drag your son and your daughter to the arms of the jungle, animal instinct, mass hysteria. Friends, the idle brain is the devil's playground. Trouble! Right here in River City. Right here in River City. With a capital T and that rhymes with P and that stands for pool. That stands for pool. We surely got trouble. Right here in River City. Right here. Gotta figure out a way to keep the young ones moral after school. Our children gonna have trouble. Mothers of River City, heed the warning before it's too late. Watch for the telltale signs of corruption. The moment your son leaves the house, does he rebuckle his knickerbockers below the knees? Is there a nicotine stain on his index finger? A dime novel hidden in the corn crib? Is he starting to memorize jokes? Captain Billy Whizbang? Are certain words creeping into his conversation? Words like swell, aha, and so's your old man. If so, my friends, you've got trouble! Right here in River City! With a capital T and that rhymes with P and that stands for for fools.
That stands for fools.
We surely got trouble.
We surely got trouble.
Right here in River City.
Right here.
Remember the Maine, Plymouth, Rock, and the Golden Rule. Oh, we are in trouble. We're in terrible, terrible trouble. That game with 15 numbered balls is the devil's tool.
Devil's tool.
Yeah, trouble, trouble, trouble.
Let's got trouble here. We got big trouble.
17. I run to a P. And that's the answer.
Forgot this? Having made a start in the 1950s as a lyricist for Leonard Bernstein's West Side Story, Stephen Sondheim soon became both a composer and lyricist for his own Broadway musicals. Over many years, his shows included A Funny Thing Happened on the Way Before Him, Company, A Little Night Music, and Into the Woods alongside many others. Sweeney Todd is Sondheim's great operatic musical of 1979. The show is a retelling of the Old English legend of Sweeney Todd, a vengeful London barber who murders his customers, and Mrs. Lovett, owner of a pie shop, who bakes the dead customers into meat pies. The backstory is that 15 years ago, the young barber was a happy newlywed with his wife, Lucy, and a baby girl, Joanna. But a powerful London judge desired Sweeney's beautiful wife, and at a word from him, the innocent young barber was arrested, sentenced, and sent away for decades of imprisonment in an Australian penal colony, where deprivation and torment drive him to the edge of insanity. Now it's 15 years later. He's escaped, and he leapt into a raft in the sea, where the young British sailor Anthony saves his life and gives him safe passage to London. Once back in London, he seeks out his old street, hoping by some miracle to find his wife and daughter still alive. Ironically, the first person he meets at the port of London is a deranged beggar woman, Lucy, his wife, who has been so damaged and destroyed by the traumas of the past that Sweeney doesn't recognize her. He chases her off, says goodbye to Anthony, and then leaves in search of Lucy as he remembers her. Blinded by his own trauma and set upon revenge on the judge, he will never recognize her. He will never recognize her until it is too late.
How would you like a little muff, dear? A little jig-jig, a little bounce around the bush? What do you
women. London's full of them.
I beg your indulgence, boy. My mind is far from easy, for in these once familiar streets I still feel the ghostly chill of shadows everywhere.
Mr. Todd.
What is it?
I've made a promise never to question you, and whatever brought you that sorrow and that sugar, that's your affair. But on that voyage, it seems to me that we may have become friends. And as a friend, if you ever need anything like food or clothes or money or... No! There's a hole in the world like a great black pit, and the vermin of the world inhabit it, and its morals are worth what a pig could spit, and it goes by the name of London. At the top of the hole sits a privileged few, making mock of vermin in the lower zoo, turning beauty into greed and filth. I too have sailed the world beyond its wonders, for the cruelty of man is as wondrous as Paroo, but there's no place like London.
It's almost a surefire certainty that you've heard tunes from his most famous work, the opera Carmen. That dazzling score includes lively marches and tunes based on Spanish dance rhythms, which many of us have heard, even if we don't recognize where the melody comes from. Back when the composer was a mere 18-year-old student at the Paris Conservatory, he entered a composition competition sponsored by the great operetta composer Jacques Offenbach. The score he submitted was for the one-act operetta Dr. Miracle, with a libretto prepared by playwrights Ludovic Alléville and Léon Batu. All 12 of the finalists in this competition were instructed to set this same libretto to music. Bizet's version tied for first place with one by Georges Lecoq, who would later go on to a career as an operetta composer. The story of Dr. Miracle originates from a 1775 one-act farce by the Irish writer Richard Sheridan, and that was called St. Patrick's Day, or The Scheming Lieutenant. In the music version, The young lieutenant, Silvio, is in love with Laurette, daughter of the Magistrate of Paroo. This story is full of improbable situations and ridiculous disguises, relishing the idea of a clever youth who outwits the established and important magistrate and his conservative wife, who disapprove of their daughter marrying a soldier. In the scene we're about to see, the scheming soldier, Silvio, previously seen disguised as Dr. Miracle, a vendor of magical potions, has changed costumes again, and now he's disguised himself as a servant in the magistrate's own house. Well, after many absurd situations, the operetta ends happily, with the magistrate conceding that he has been outwitted. The soldier has picked up the thing he needed to hear. The magistrate doesn't know that his new servant is really the lieutenant, and he orders him to prepare an omelet for dinner. And later, the lieutenant will falsely claim that he poisons the omelet, and that only Dr. Miracle, and remember that's him in another disguise, can save the magistrate's life with an antidote. And there are many absurd situations after which the operetta ends happily, with the magistrate conceding that he has been outwitted. The soldier has won the day, the parents give in, and they allow the young ones to marry. But for tonight, our concern is just to find out how well the lieutenant can cook.
This is how it's made up, the hearts of our necks, well beaten together, well beaten together, well beaten. together, well beaten up. It's made, I must say, in the following way, which is butter and eggs beaten up. Without further ado, let's begin. An omelet. Quickly, place it on the table. Ooh. See how well beaten up it is. Just butter and eggs.
Just butter and eggs.
Wow. Incredible. Just smell it. Ah, butter. Beautiful. Here's this plate. Okay, well, let us begin. Actually, no, that's it. I have many pleasures in my life. Some would say that I have the most pleasures out of anybody that they know. For instance, my sweet, kind, angelic, soft-hearted daughter. Oh, the heart of a saint. I wish you could see her in action. She is so kind. And also, my lovely, beautiful, gorgeous, darling, precious wife. Oh, look at you! Not a wrinkle in that face. The sunset is truly jealous of your beauty. Oh, I cannot show enough thanks for all this happiness in my life. But I must confess, whenever I am hungry at dinner time, nothing compares to the sight of a well-made omelet. Do you see this? Look at this omelet. Just butter and eggs. Oh, and it's looking at me, and it's smiling, and it's saying, I'm your faithful dinner, awaiting for you! Ah! Uh-oh. Let's begin. It is my time.
This is now the crucial moment.
Oh, what a most peculiar taste.
Yes, I must say I find it bitter.
Oh, what did you put into this omelet?
Heavens, there's no need to panic. Why eggs and butter to be sure?
Perhaps we're both wrong after all.
Maybe we are only
No, decidedly, it is disgusting.
Yes, what's disgusting?
Absolutely shocking.
Absolutely shocking.
Really quite appalling.
Really quite appalling.
It's quite disgusting. It's too revolting. What about this omelet? Tell us how you made it. Tell us how you made it.
What about this omelet? Tell us how you made it. What about this omelet? Tell us how you made it.
Such a horrid color. Such a horrid smell. Such a horrid color.
Such a horrid color. Such a messy
What about my omelet? I say it's quite perfect. Just look at its color. Not its fragrant smell. What's good smells.
Let us shock these like disgusting
What about my omelet? Can't you
The performance we're watching this evening features 4 singer-actors who enrolled in this year's Opera Musical Theater Workshop class. The performance tonight is their final class project. At the beginning of the semester, each student in Opera Workshop performed an audition consisting of 2 contrasting classical or musical theater pieces. Based on each singer's voice type and the strengths they demonstrated in their audition, I then chose the scenes that you're hearing them sing tonight. The singers were required not only to learn and memorize notes, rhythms, and words for their solo parts, but also to analyze their characters' reactions to the other characters in the scene, to study the remainders of the operas and the musicals that their scenes come from, and to analyze in depth their character and their character's subtext from an actor's standpoint. I'm extremely proud of the dedication, psychological insights, creativity, humor, and depth that our students brought to these assignments. The fine performances you see tonight are the result of many hours of study, analysis, and exploration over the past 12 weeks. In the 1940s, the famous composer-lyricist team Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein II dominated Broadway. Their first collaboration was the 1943 game-changing show Oklahoma, which launched the style of big book musicals, story-based productions, signaling the beginning of what's often called Broadway's Golden Age. In 1945, they opened their second collaboration, Carousel, at Broadway's Majestic Theater. Set in late 19th century New England, it tells the unhappy love story of a migrant carousel barker and a girl who works at a factory assembly line. But there's also a second, more comedic couple in the story. Enoch Snow is an ambitious young fisherman, and he is in love with the factory worker, Carrie Pipperidge. The two are betrothed, and one summer day, they dream about their future together.
I own a little house and I sell a little boat, and the fish I catch I sell. And in a manner of speaking, I'm doing very well. I love a little girl and she's in love with me, and soon she'll be my bride. And in a manner of speaking, I should be satisfied.
Well, ain't ya?
If I told you my plans and the things I intend, it'll make every curl on your head stand on end. When I make enough money out of one little boat, I'll put all of my money in another little boat. I'll make twice as much out of 2 little boats. Then the first thing you know, I have 4 little boats, then 8 little boats, then a fleet of little boats, then a great big fleet of great big boats. All catching heaven, bringing it to shore, selling out again, bringing in more and more and more and more.
But who's gonna eat all of that herring?
There ain't gonna be any herring. We're gonna put them in cans and call them sardines. Then I'm gonna build a sardine cannery. Then the biggest one in the whole country. I'm gonna get rich selling sardines. I mean, we're gonna get rich. You and me and all of us. The first year we're married, we'll have 1 little kid. Then the second year we'll go and have another little kid. You'll soon be on socks for 8 little feet.
We're building up to another fleet.
We'll build a lot more rooms. Our dear little house will get bigger. Our dear little house will get when the children are asleep and lights are low. If I still love you the way I love you today, then pardon my saying I told you so. When the children are asleep, I'll dream with you. We'll make what fun we have had and be glad that it all came true.
When children are awake, are romping through the rooms, or running on the stairs, then in a manner of speaking, the house is really theirs. But once they close their eyes and we are left alone and free from all their fears, then in a manner of speaking, we can be really ours. When the children are asleep, I'll dream with you. Things that every other dad and mother
Dreams that won't be interrupted when the children are asleep and lights are low. You'll dream with me. When such days a long time ago, you'll say that the best thing I know is
At this time, I'd like to acknowledge everyone who helped bring this performance to the stage. Special thank yous are due to Dr. William Raver, our staff pianist and choir director, for countless hours of musical rehearsals, including those preparing the chamber singers, in addition to playing tonight's performance. We also owe a huge thank you to the MUW Department of Theater, and especially to Professor Bronwyn Teague, for much assistance lending us many costumes, several set pieces, and numerous props. I would also like to thank our MUW chamber singers who received music for their parts just a few short weeks ago, and they've memorized not only the music, but stage movements for 3 very lively ensemble scenes. And thank you to music professor Lynn for his assistance with this production as conductor for 2 of the ensemble scenes, for his work as a supernumerary, and especially for singing in our final scene tonight. To all who helped make this production possible, thank you. We also have something new on this next excerpt that did not make its way into the program. As you may have noticed, we do not have Dr. William Raver seated at the piano, but we have instead Gabrielle Foster, who is a wonderful piano student here at the W, and you saw Gabby earlier in our scenes as Amarylis in Music Band earlier this evening. So thank you to Gabby for playing. Our next excerpt comes from Into the Woods, which is another Sondheim show. And this one retells a familiar fairy tales from a psychological viewpoint. The scene we're going to hear features 2 princes, Cinderella's prince, who can't understand why Cinderella ran away, and Rapunzel's prince, who's lamenting the absence of doors on Rapunzel's tower. The young men compare woes, and they sing about love's frustrations, and they conclude that the solution to all their problems is marriage.
Did I abuse her, show her to stay? Why does she run from me? I shall lose her, shall I regain the heart she has won from me? Agony beyond power of speech, when the one thing you want is the only thing out of your reach.
High in her tower, she sits by the hour, maintaining her hair. Look at it. Blithe and becoming and frequently humming a light-hearted air. Agony, far more painful than yours. Yeah, you. When you know she would go with you. Oh, if there only were doors. Agony, all the tortures they teach.
What's as intriguing
Or half so fatiguing
as what's out of reach? Am I not sensitive, clever, well-mannered, considerate, passionate, toying, and heir to a throne?
Yeah, you are everything maidens could wish for.
Then why
Do
know
I know?
that girl must be mad?
You know nothing of madness. Till you're climbing her hair and you see her up there as you're nearing her, all the while hearing her agony, misery, though it's different for each.
Always 10 steps behind,
Always 10 feet below,
and she's just out of reach. Agony that can cut like a knife. I must have her to
Our next three scenes tonight come from Frank Lesser's 1955 musical, Guys and Dolls. It's a popular Broadway show about several lovable 1930s gamblers and their love interests. Nathan Detroit runs the oldest established permanent floating craps game in New York. Nathan is also engaged to his fiancée Adelaide, who's a showgirl at a classy cabaret joint. Nathan and Adelaide have been engaged for 14 years. Adelaide, who is sick with a cold, has been writing letters back to her mother at home for several years now, in which she has claimed that Nathan, the gambler who has never had a legitimate job in his life, is the assistant manager of a grocery store, and that they have 5 children together. In the argument we're about to observe, Adelaide has just shown Nathan the latest response from her mother, in which her mother congratulated them for having child number 6 on the way. Feeling the pressure, Adelaide demands that Nathan just elope with her right now, tonight. And Nathan, whose love for Adelaide is genuine, agrees. But then he remembers a prior commitment. You see, through a complicated series of comedic events earlier in the story, Nathan, the gambler, the chronic liar, the secular man, has lost an important bet in which the penalty is he's required to attend a midnight prayer meeting tonight. So he tells Adelaide, no, they cancel it tonight. It's going to have to wait. But Adelaide has been waiting for 14 years already, demands to know the reason why they can't run off right now. For once in his life, Nathan tells her the truth.
I had to go to a prayer meeting.
Nathan, that is the biggest lie you have ever told me.
But I promise you, it's true.
You promised me this, you promised me that, you promised me anything under the sun, then you give me a kiss and you're grabbing your hat and you're off to the races again. When I think of the time gone
Adelaide!
honestly die.
Call the lawyer and sue me. What can you do me? I love you. Give a holler and hate me. Go ahead and hate me. I
The
love you.
best years of my life I was a fool to give to.
Alright, I'm just a no good Nick. Alright already, it's true. So new, so sue me. What can you do me? I love
You
you.
gamble it here, you gamble it there, you gamble on everything other than me, and I'm sick of you keeping me up in the air till you're back in the money again. When I think of the time gone by,
Adelaide.
I think of the way I
Adelaide.
could honestly die.
Serve the paper and sue me. What can you do me? I love you. Give a holler and hate me. Go ahead and hate me. I
When
love
you wind up in jail, don't come to me to bail you.
Alright already. I'm just a no good Nick. Alright already, it's true. So new, so sue me. What can you do me? I love you.
You're running the game. I'm not gonna play second fiddle to that. And I'm sick and I'm tired. I'm swallowing around and I'm telling you now that what's wrong. When I think of the time gone by, and I think of the way I could honestly die.
So sue me. What can you do me? I love you.
As we've just seen, Adelaide is very frustrated about her 14-year-long engagement. For our next song, we'll find Adelaide alone in her dressing room, backstage at the cabaret, musing over her troubles, trying to get to the bottom of why she always seems to have a cold. She does something she hasn't done in years. She picks up a book and starts to read.
It says here, the average unmarried female, basically insecure, due to some long frustrations may react with psychosomatic symptoms, difficult to endure, affecting If she's tired of getting the fish eye from the hotel boy, a poison can develop a cold. Now let's see. The female remaining single, just in the legal sense, shows a neurotic tendency, see note. Chronic organic syndromes, toxic or hypertense, involving the eyes, the ears, and the nose and throat. In other words, just from wondering whether the wedding is on or off, a poison can develop a cough. You can feed her all day with the vitamin A and the bromo fix, but the medicine never gets anywhere near where the trouble is. If she's getting a kind of a name for herself and the name ain't his, a poison can develop a cough. And furthermore, just installing the wedding trip, a poison can develop a grip. When they get on the train for Niagara, and she can hear church bells chime, the compartment is air-conditioned and the mood sublime. And then they get up at Saratoga for the 14th time. A poison can develop a grip, la post-nasal drip, with the wheezes and the sneezes and the sinus are really a pip. From a lack of community property and a feeling she's getting too old, a poison can develop a bad cold. Achoo!
As the story winds its way towards a happy conclusion, complete with a double wedding, an entire group of gamblers loses a high-stakes bet. The gambler, Skye Masterson, has fallen in love with Sister Sarah, who works at the Save a Soul mission. The mission has not converted enough sinners and is threatened with being shut down. To help save the mission on Sarah's behalf, Skye plays a winning craps game, and his prize? All the other gamblers have to attend a midnight prayer meeting at the mission. The same meeting Nathan mentioned to Adelaide. To get the testimonies going, gambler Nicely Johnson invents a story about his conversion to righteousness.
I dreamed last night I was on a boat to heaven, and by some chance I had brought my dice along, and there I stood, and I hollered, someone paid me! But the passengers, they knew right from wrong. For the people said, sit down, no rock the boat. People all said, sit down, no rock the boat. And the devil will drag you under by the sharp repel of your turkey coat. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, no rock the boat. I sailed away on that little boat to heaven, and by some chance found a bottle in my fist, and there I stood, nicely passing out the whiskey. Whew. But the passengers were bound to resist. For the people said beware, beware, you'll steal the ship. And the devil will drag you under by the fancy tie under with the throat. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And as I laughed at those passengers to heaven, a great big wave came and knocked me overboard. And as I sank and I hollered, someone save me. That's the moment I woke up. Thank the Lord. Sit down, you're rocking the boat. Said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will drag you under with the soul so heavy you even flow. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, sit down, sit down, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down.
Tonight, and we hope that you've enjoyed the performance so far. Our final scene is from the 20th century opera, The Rake's Progress, and we're doing something new tonight. This is our first ever student-directed scene. I'm very proud to introduce you to senior music major Ricky Dubisson, who has stage-directed me, my colleague Mr. Lynn, and the chamber singers in this scene, which he is going to introduce. So please welcome Mr. Dubisson.
Hi everyone. Thank you all so much for coming. Give me just a second to set up. Okay, second's over. Okay. I have the joy and pleasure of speaking about this next scene. As you've heard, I was chosen to be the first student director for our opera scenes, and oh my lord, what an honor it is to be in full control of something so precious to a dear Professor Lynn. I launched myself into every single class that I could take with Dr. Hurley, whether it was for voice lessons when I wasn't a major, performance techniques in the fall, vocal pedagogy, diction, intro to music lit back in the pandemic, or this wonderful class, opera scenes. I would not be anywhere close to the performer I am today if it had not been for this woman. She truly cares for her students and helps them achieve whatever dream they have and can solve any issue that can arise. If you read our bios, you may see that I won first place at a regional singing competition full of university voice students. And I never thought that I would ever compete in a voice competition or even be good enough to be on stage, but thanks to Dr. Hurley, I was able to do that, and I'm still going forward. Like this scene, I'm still trying to process that everything that you're about to see was choreographed by me with collaborations from my experienced, highly intelligent, and might I say, best professors ever. I want to thank Dr. William Graber for his incredible musical talents, theatrical advice, and insight into these characters. Professor Lynn for his wonderful work that he's done with our group in his first year, being a principal role for me in this scene, and for the fun that he brings to our institution. Brad Sims for helping everybody with the live streams of our performances, doing the lights, and working with me on how to tackle something I never knew how to handle. And of course, to our MUW choir, who will be here, I want to thank them with all the dedication that they took to learn the music, help me create the vision, and just making opera scenes better. One final thank you to the incredible professor, Dr. Susan Hurley, for always seeing how far I can go and helping me get there. It takes a lot of energy to perform on stage, and even more energy to not cry right now, because this is my last opera scene. So I'm just going to jump Buckle in. Okay, so we have to travel back in time to get some basic information. This entire opera was based off of a set of paintings created by William Hogarth, who lived from 1697 to 1764. And the paintings were made from 1732 to 1734. Remember that? 1732, 1734. The paintings had 8 parts, and they tell the story of the progress of the rake. It starts with the heir, which depicts a man named Tom inheriting his fortune, and the second is the levy, which depicts Tom playing and being an aristocrat. I'm not going to go through all 8, but the last one is called the Madhouse, which shows Tom in Bedlam, an insane asylum, which is where our scene takes place. We'll get to that later. The general thought of these paintings were shock and moral outrage, but it was successful. Despite the depictions of vices such as brothels, gambling, and madness that had offended the elites, it fascinated the middle class. Critics saw it as a cautionary tale, while Hogarth was accused of glorifying debauchery by depicting it so vividly. And Hogarth hopped on the success train after noticing a flock of crowds that would come to his studio in London by deciding to allow the public to have their own paintings at home. And he would call these etchings. The etchings were affordable, and they reached a lot further than the paintings, and highly successful. They were so successful that the people started to pirate these etchings and sell them. Fun fact of the day. This eventually led to Hogarth lobbying for copyright laws, which led to the engraver's copyright law in 1735. Take it with you. These paintings and etchings created a legacy that created a cultural touchstone for tales of downfall, like the Christmas Carol. You know that one. Now to the composer Igor Stravinsky. He is an influential Russian composer who is best known for The Rite of Spring, which left audiences confused and mortified. And there were even reports of fistfights and riots breaking out in the theater upon showing. Can you imagine that? Like working so hard on something and then the first showing that you have people break out in a fistfight? Wow, that's crazy. Anyways, unrelated subject, there's 2 police stations very close to us, one on campus, one across the street, just in case anybody has any ideas. But anyways, once the audiences got past the initial shock that they felt, it grew to be accepted as a masterpiece. When Stravinsky came across Hogarth's etchings in 1947, quick math, how long is that? 200 years, you're so right! He envisioned the paintings to be an opera buffa, which is a educated musical term. That means an opera that is funny, but, just an opera that's funny, but he wanted this opera to have dark undertones. That costs you money to learn, and I'm telling you that for free. Count your blessings. Speaking of free information, Stravinsky is a neoclassical composer, or a 20th century composer, which means that composers during this time experimented with what is sound, what is noise, what is music, what's the difference between them, how can we push the limits of what we hear. In this opera, he wanted to reinterpret classical forms with a modern irony. So we've got the music, but we need the lines and lyrics. Wystan Hugh Auden was an Anglo-American man who helped contribute to this, and he was needed for his intellectual depth. He was essential for the verse structure and moral themes. Chester Kellman is the other part of this, who was used for dialogue and theatrical wit. So we've got all the ingredients. Yay! On to the main course. Just a reminder that this story, Drake's Progress, is a cautionary tale of greed. Doesn't end happy. There's 3 acts, and it is as follows. In Act 1, Tom rakes well, the rake, dreams of wealth. He turns down a man's offer to a high-paying job, though, like right out the gate, which is very odd. But Tom wants to kind of make his fortune his own way. And the man that offered that job to him is the father of his partner and true love. Easy to remember the love interest, true love, and okay, cool. After that, Nick Shadow is this dark magic man that appears, and he's like, hey, Tom, listen, I can give you a fortune if you just come with me to London. Like, in a year and a day, just pay me back, I got you. And Tom was like, oh my God, this is so much more believable than that job I was offered. Yeah, I'm gonna take it. So we did. And Tom goes to my aunt and is like, hey, I totally am rich now. I'm gonna send a boat for you. Just look out for it. Now on to Act 2. Tom listens to the literal devil, which is Mr. Shadow, and indulges in hedonism. If you don't know what that is, the New Oxford American English Dictionary states that this is the purpose of pleasure or sensual self-indulgence. Eventually Tom grows bored, so Shadow tempts Tom with the bearded lady named Baba the Turk. And the devil must have a way with words because he definitely did marry this woman. Totally forgetting Anne, throwing her to the wayside. What a man, wow. And speaking of Anne, where is she at this moment? She's in London looking for Tom because she's tired of waiting. She finds him, and Tom is rejects her. Terrible. So now we are going into Act 3. Carmen finally comes back, and Tom loses everything. It's been a year and a day since the agreement, and Shadow has not been paid, and demands Tom's soul in place of payment. They decide to play a card game, and if Shadow wins, he gets Tom's soul. Plot twist, Tom actually wins, crazy. So Nick is just really mad, and he's like, no, you're not getting rid of this scot-free. Insanity. So now Tom is insane. And he is now inside Bedlam. And as you can see, we're no longer in Costin Auditorium. You can look in the balcony, you can look near you, you can look on the stage. They're all here, patients all around. Some hearing and seeing things that aren't there. Some are animals, some are completely dissociated. Some are me when it's April and I'm just got over a sickness and I'm trying to prepare for 2 opera scenes performances. But if you notice in the middle, this is Tom. Look at him. You see he has a flower crown? The insanity that he was gifted with was believing that he is the god of darkness. Okay? He still remembers Anne, but Anne goes by Venus in his head. And at this point, Anne is aware of Tom's condition. And she still loves this man despite everything that he's put her through. So she comes to this insane asylum and wants to give one final goodbye to a man that she very much loves. And we're going to see what happens when she visits him for one last time. Thank you.
In Venus, Venus, where art thou? The flowers open to the sun, the birds renew their song. It is spring, the bridal couch is prepared. Come quickly, beloved, and we will celebrate the holy rites of love. Hola! Achilles! Helen! Eurydice! Orpheus! Persephone! All my courtiers! Hola! Where is my Venus? Why have you stolen her while I slept? Madmen! Where have you hidden her? My heart breaks. I feel the chill of death's approaching wing. Orpheus, strike from thy lyre a swan-like music, and weep. Hymns and shepherds of the Stygian fields